Nutrition is the process of taking food and using it for growth, metabolism, and cellular repair. Nutrition comes in many forms and is often modified to optimize the health of each individual. For our discussion on nutrition, we will talk about the major food groups with example foods, essential vitamins and minerals that can be obtained through diet, instructions on how to read a food label, and close with dietary recommendations from the American Heart Association. Nutrition can be divided into two groups, macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are what we consume in large volumes and are made up of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Micronutrients are what we consume in small volumes and consist of vitamins and minerals. Let's first discuss macronutrients. Macronutrients are made up of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. As mentioned before, these foods can make up the bulk of our calorie consumption. Fats provide the highest calorie content per gram with 9 calories. Carbohydrates and proteins provide moderate calorie contents as 1 gram of both carbohydrates and protein contain 4 calories. For reference, the standard American diet is based on a 2,000 calorie daily diet. Let's dig a little deeper into each one of these macronutrients. Carbohydrates can be divided between complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates are high in fiber and low in sugar. Complex carbohydrates are digested slowly and prevent rapid spikes in insulin and blood sugar. Simple carbohydrates are digested quickly and easily convert to sugar. Simple carbohydrates result in high levels of circulating sugar and insulin. Let's briefly discuss insulin before we go any further. Insulin is released from your pancreas in the presence of glucose, which is the basic molecule of sugar. Insulin is released from your pancreas and communicates with receptors on organs throughout your body. These organs include muscle, fat, and liver. Insulin is an anabolic hormone. Anabolic means grow, which your body interprets as store. Insulin tells your muscle, fats, and liver to store sugar. This can sound confusing, so let's repeat what was just said. Foods high in sugar stimulate the release of a hormone called insulin. Insulin circulates in our body and communicates with our muscle, fat, and liver to promote the uptake of sugar. Sugar is then stored throughout the organs of our body. Why is it important to know if I'm consuming complex carbohydrates or simple? As mentioned before, complex carbohydrates are slowly digested and slowly convert to sugar. This prevents high levels of circulating insulin and therefore prevents the storage of sugar throughout our muscle and fat. This is in contrast to simple carbohydrates, which we said are rapidly converted to sugar. This causes high levels of circulating insulin and therefore promotes storage of sugar throughout your muscle and fat. So how do you know which one you're consuming? As an easy rule of thumb, complex carbohydrates are non-processed whole foods versus simple carbohydrates, which are processed foods that often come in wrappers. Complex carbohydrates include foods such as potatoes, rice, quinoa, and vegetables. Simple carbohydrates include pasta, chips, granola bars, candy, and sugary drinks. Simple carbohydrates are often referred to as simple. Simple sugars are found in both candy and sugary drinks such as soda and juice. Eating those foods can not only cause high levels of blood sugar and insulin, but also provide minimal to no nutritional value in the form of vitamins and minerals. Have you ever heard it said, shop the perimeter of the grocery store? You'll note that all of the food I listed as complex carbohydrates can be found on the perimeter of the grocery store, and all of the food I listed as simple carbohydrates can be found in the aisles in the middle of the grocery store. As an easy rule of thumb, when grocery shopping, try to purchase the bulk of your items from the aisles and shelves that line the outside border of the store. Carbohydrates have received a lot of attention, so now let's talk about fat. Fat often gets a bad rap because of the name alone, but healthy fats are critical for proper nutrition. This macronutrient makes up the lining of our cells and is critical for cell function and integrity. Specifically, omega-3 fatty acids are vital to support cardiovascular and the nervous system. All individuals should incorporate a moderate amount of healthy fats into your daily diet. So what is a healthy fat? Similar to carbohydrates, fats can be broken down into various categories. The 3 categories of fat are unsaturated, saturated, and trans fat. Monosaturated and polysaturated are both forms of unsaturated fat. Unsaturated fat is an abundant source of omega-3 fatty acids. In addition to foods with healthy fats are a great source of fat-soluble vitamins. This includes vitamins A, E, D, and K. Vitamin E is critical to reduce oxidative damage in the body. Oxidative damage to our cells can cause inflammation and disease such as cancer. Vitamin D optimizes the absorption of calcium to support strong bones. Vitamin K is essential to enzymes that regulate bleeding and clotting and support proper circulatory function. Foods that supply monosaturated and polyunsaturated fat include nuts, seeds, avocado, healthy oils such as extra virgin olive oil, and fatty fish, which includes salmon and sardines. Do you see a pattern? Similar to differentiating between complex and simple carbohydrates, healthy sources of unsaturated fats are made up of non-processed whole foods. I recommend following the same rule of thumb when shopping for fats. Stay on the perimeter of the grocery store. Protein is indeed the building block of life. Protein is made up of many molecules called amino acids. Those amino acids are absorbed by our gastrointestinal system and used to make other cells in our body. Essentially, it's the backbone of every functioning organ. So how much protein should I be eating? Individuals should consume an average of 1 gram of protein per kilogram of their body weight per day. This is equal to about half of your weight in grams of protein. For example, a 200-pound individual should consume an average of 100 grams of protein per day. Older individuals should aim to consume more protein. As we age, we have lower levels of circulating hormones, such as growth hormone. These hormones act on our muscle and tell them to grow. Decreased levels of hormone result in natural resistance to muscle growth, which occurs with the progression of age. Protein can be consumed as a supplement in the form of protein powders and protein bars, but is also found abundantly in our foods. Foods high in protein include meats, beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, cheese, yogurt, and even some vegetables. While supplements can be a great option for individuals unable to acquire sufficient dietary amounts to meet body needs, consuming this macronutrient through whole foods is optimal. Before we move forward, let's summarize what we just learned. Macronutrients make up the bulk of an individual's calorie consumption and include carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Carbohydrates are converted to sugar in our body. Sugar stimulates the release of insulin. High levels of insulin are associated with storage of fat. Carbohydrates can be divided based on their effect of insulin. Complex carbohydrates are high in fiber and low in sugar, and minimally raise levels of insulin. Simple carbohydrates are high in sugar and result in significant elevations in insulin. Fats are critical to cell functioning. Healthy fats provide omega-3 fatty acids which function to reduce inflammation and promote cell function. Try to consume unsaturated fat, such as monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fat, and to reduce consumption of saturated and trans fat. Protein is the backbone of all cells in our body. All individuals should aim to eat half of their body weight in grams of protein per day. It can be difficult trying to navigate different foods to find what is complex carbohydrate and which is a healthy source of fat. Remember, healthy sources of macronutrients are non-processed whole foods that can often be found on the perimeter of a grocery store. Speaking of the perimeter of a grocery store, what else is there? You guessed it, it's our micronutrients. Micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals required for cell metabolism. Said another way, they provide the nutrients responsible to feed the reactions that take place in our body each and every day. Micronutrients are often consumed in the forms of fruits and vegetables, but can also be found in an assortment of nuts and seeds. Let's take a moment to discuss some of the most common micronutrients. Vitamin C is important in regulating immune function and growth and repair of our cells and tissues. Vitamin C can be found in citrus fruits, such as oranges and lemons, as well as strawberries and tomatoes, but it is also high in vegetables such as broccoli and kale. The B vitamins are important for cell processes all over the body, most notably direct impact on levels of energy. B vitamins can be found in meats and cheese, but are also abundantly stored in fruits and vegetables such as sweet potatoes, carrots, peppers, and melon. Calcium is critical for bone health. Calcium is for bone development when we're young and to maintain bone integrity as we age. Food high in calcium includes vegetables such as collard greens, broccoli, celery, and nuts as seeds, such as Brazil nuts, flax seeds, and sesame seeds. Iron is bound to a molecule in our blood and is utilized for oxygen transport. Low levels of iron can cause anemia, which is a decreased level of hemoglobin, and manifest as symptoms such as fatigue and shortness of air. Iron is abundant in red meat and beans, and in our plant foods such as spinach. Magnesium is a mineral most abundantly found in our ocean. This key mineral is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. It is vital for skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle function. Magnesium deficiency can manifest in a variety of ways, including muscle aches and headaches, insomnia, anxiety, and depression. Magnesium can be absorbed through our skin after swimming in the ocean, but for those of us not at the beach, it can also be obtained through our diet. Foods high in magnesium include almonds, pumpkin seeds, avocado, spinach, and even some dark chocolate. Let's take a moment to summarize what we just said. Micronutrients are found in smaller quantities in our daily diet but are critical for cell function. These key nutrients can be obtained through our diet rich in whole foods, but sometimes supplements can be added. The best foods primarily consist of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. An easy rule of thumb to make sure you're obtaining all of your required macronutrients and micronutrients is to stick to non-processed whole foods, most often found, again, on the perimeter of the grocery store. I encourage you to eat the rainbow. If your diet consists of colorful abundance of fruits and vegetables, you can rest assured you're consuming all of the macronutrients required for your optimal body functioning. Instead of focusing on buying certain foods high in one vitamin or another, focus on filling your grocery cart with a diverse sort of foods. Again, foods most often found on the outer aisles of the grocery store. Food labels can be intimidating, so let's talk about what they all mean. The nutrition label will first list the amount of servings per container. The numbers below will list the nutritional value of one serving size. Be aware that multiple serving sizes are contained within one single package. Therefore, the numbers on the back of the label must be interpreted accordingly. The top number on the nutrition label is the reported value of the total number of calories for one single serving size. This number is the sum of calories of the carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Below this number will list the individual breakdown of each one of these macronutrients. Fat will be listed first. The label will show total grams of fat. This is not the total number of calories. Remember that 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. Below, we'll break down the type of fat. You will see words such as monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, saturated, and trans fat. Natural unsaturated fats are monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fat. When reading the breakdown of fat, try to avoid foods high in saturated and trans fat. Cholesterol and sodium will be listed next. Cholesterol is a key component of our cell walls, and sodium is a mineral used for cellular reactions. It is important to consume both in moderation, as high levels of both cholesterol and sodium can have an impact on our cardiovascular health. Cholesterol and sodium are both listed in milligrams. The average adult should limit cholesterol consumption to 300 milligrams per day, and individuals with heart disease are advised to further reduce this number to 200 milligrams of cholesterol per day. Individuals should also make an effort to limit sodium consumption to 3,000 milligrams per day, which is equivalent to 3 grams of sodium. However, if tolerated, 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram of sodium per day is preferred. Carbohydrates will be listed second. The label will show the total number of grams of carbohydrates. Remember that 1 gram of carbohydrates is equivalent to 4 calories. Below, we'll break down carbohydrates in grams of fiber and sugar. Complex carbohydrates will be high in fiber and low in sugar. Let us take a brief moment to mention fiber. Fiber is a molecule that cannot be absorbed by the gastrointestinal tract. Fiber is consumed through food and excreted as waste. Fiber slowly moves through the gastrointestinal system to keep you feeling full. In addition, it pulls water into the intestines to enhance digestion. The average adult should aim to consume 30 grams of fiber per day. Okay, back to our food label. The last of the macronutrients will be protein. This label will show total grams of protein. Remember that 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. Protein is not broken down any further and is listed as is. The final label will remain an assortment of macronutrients. Nutrients will be listed with the daily percent recommended for each vitamin and mineral. The percentages are based on a 2,000 calorie daily diet. As an example, if a label reads 50% iron, it means the product contains 50% of the total iron an individual should consume per day. The label is made this way to avoid having to remember how many milligrams of each micronutrient one should consume. This is in contrast to cholesterol and sodium, which are listed alongside total milligrams. The type of nutrients available will vary depending on which food purchased. We've covered a tremendous amount of information, and I appreciate you sticking with me this long. Now that we know a little bit more about our food, I want to close with the dietary guidelines provided by the American Heart Association. The American Heart Association provides diet and lifestyle recommendations to support healthy living. I'm going to summarize their recommendations. The average individual should consume a diet high in fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, and lean meat, such as chicken and fish. The individual should make an effort to avoid foods high in saturated and trans fat, and also make an effort to avoid red or fatty meat. Try to limit consumption of cholesterol and sodium to 300 milligrams of cholesterol and 3,000 milligrams of sodium each day. Individuals with heart disease should slowly further reduce these numbers to 200 milligrams of cholesterol and 1,000 milligrams of sodium each day. In addition to recommending a tobacco-free lifestyle, the American Heart Association advises individuals to limit consumption of alcohol. This is no more than 1 drink per day for females and no more than 2 drinks per day for males. Thank you for your attention and desire to optimize your health. I hope this information has equipped you with the tools required to make healthy food choices. With all things, moderation is key. Limiting foods high in saturated fat and total sugar, and consuming foods high in vitamins and minerals are key to optimize health. Instead of focusing on what must be removed from your diet, remember all the things you can add. We can support body function by eating a diet rich in non-processed whole foods and consuming an abundance of colorful fruits and vegetables. Remember, shop the perimeter of the grocery store and never forget to eat the rainbow.